Hi everyone, hello fellow filmmakers and photographers. My name is Nick. I'm a filmmaker based in Shanghai, and I've been doing photography and filming for quite some time already. But I'd say professionally, I've been doing it for more than 4 years. And over these 4 years, I've been directing a few projects, did DP job, the first AC job, and also worked as a gaffer and light designer. And today I'd like to talk to you about some lighting solutions that I'd call unconventional, because not every day, unfortunately, we have a chance to think out of the box to implement our ideas that you have in abundance. I'm pretty sure you had, due to the limitations of daily projects or the nature of these projects. But there are some projects where you can really go wild and use all of your creative ideas and to make your creative input. This project can be fashion project, can be your own passion projects, can be bold, wild commercials, or short films. For me, one of the projects like this was a shoot for a Chinese clothing designer, Shengtao Chen, that we did in the late 2024 in Chongqing, China. Not only the city was wild that I loved entirely, the landscape, the buildings, people as well, but also the team for the project, the creative direction, the way how it was executed. That was very inspiring and exciting, and I want to share this with you. I'm new on YouTube, but I think it's essential nowadays for all the creators to create their own communities or to be a part of existing communities, to share their ideas, to exchange experience and grow together. So let's dive into it. So first, I'd like to briefly discuss the project, the creative direction of the project, so you understand better why we used certain lighting solutions, why it looks the way it looks, right? So it all makes sense. And as I mentioned, this shoot was for a clothing designer's new collection that they presented on fashion weeks all around the world. They needed a lookbook with pictures of their garments, of their designs, and films, short films that they use for presentations that they wanted to post on their websites, in the magazines, and so on and so forth. So the creative direction that was chosen for these films in this lookbook was in dreamcore aesthetics. I'm pretty sure that you are familiar with dreamcore because it was around for a while, right? Forever. We have movies that are shot in dreamcore style. We have photographers working in this style. One of the photographers that you can definitely check out if you're interested in this style, called Sharon Osborne. You can look her up on Instagram. And also one of the movies that the creative director for Chongqing project was inspired by is 1995 Hong Kong movie that is called Out of the Dark. It's a comedy horror directed by Jeffrey Lau and starring Stephen Chow. So if you look at the visuals from this movie, you will see that the project that I'm about to show you is definitely inspired by it. So when we are looking at the creative direction during the pre-production phase of the project as a lighting designer or a gaffer, what do we need to pay attention to? Is of course the overall mood, the colors we're going to be using, and the contrast of the visuals. So what we see from the creative direction here and from the inspiration that the creative team was using is this film-like atmosphere, this dreamy visuals, even though I don't like the word dreamy, but I guess here it works perfectly, right? Dreamy scenarios, dreamy aesthetics, hazy, I would even say, and with relatively low contrast and use of pastel colors, predominantly pink, blue, cyan, green, orange, right? So this dreamcore style, the way I think of it, it's like something you'd see in your dream that is not totally realistic, with some abstract qualities to it, but still believable enough for you to fall for it, to believe in it. Okay, so now as we went through general creative direction of the project, let's break down a few scenes from the project and see what lighting solutions we used. So scene number one, I call it the Love Hotel. Yeah, it was actually shot in this old rundown hotel in the middle of Chongqing, evoking this 80s 90s nostalgia. And the goal here was to create this mysterious, intriguing, maybe even alarming, but yet intimate atmosphere in this hotel, in this hallway of the hotel that we had in our disposal. Let's take a look at the visuals, and as you can see, there are a lot of colors. Yeah, we see red, we see pink, we see green tints. So let's go through the lighting setup that we used here. So let's start with the key light that we used here. So for this, we used one Aperture 600X that we bounced off the bounce board to raise up the exposure on her and also to rim her gently to highlight the shapes and the garment. Then we used two Aperture 600C Pro. They are RGB lights, a great solution if you want to bring more colors to your set without needing to hustle with gels and spending time on mounting them and changing and so on and so forth. So one we put right here next to the key and set it to this pinkish hue that spills on the floor and bounces nicely on her dress. And one we put at the end of the tunnel and set it to red, just straight up red, to create this mysterious, intriguing situation going on at the background. And we have one more fixture there that you can see in some of the shots. It's a small tungsten stylized old-fashioned bulb that we use with the cord with the bulb socket. And I always like to bring a couple of tungsten bulbs on the set just in case, or a non-light power bulb that is also a great solution because you can adjust the color temperature or the colors of the fixture. Yeah, and by using these 4 light sources, the light setup was complete and we were ready to shoot. But for some shots, we really wanted to highlight a certain area of the frame that we decided to do with a flashlight. In this case, we used this Sedunda projection flashlight, a compact 10 watt light with built-in gobble mounts that you can shape your light beam with, and also you can adjust the color temperatures. And while it's not the most powerful fixture, it works great for creative indoor effects. And this is exactly where your creativity comes in, right? So there are no rules. Try different techniques, try different fixtures. So here we have RGB continuous light, we have bicolor light, we have a tungsten bulb, and we have a flashlight, right? And there are no limits. Just go out there, try something new, and see how it comes out. And let's go to the next scene that I call Under the Bridge, because it was shot under the bridge. Can you imagine? So there was one of those bridges in Chongqing. It's a very cool spot with this industrial looking structures, but it came with some challenges as well, because, well, it's under the bridge, right? It's in the shadow, so there's no direct sunlight that you can diffuse or bounce. But it's the midday, so even in the shadow, it's not that dark. So if you want to bring the exposure up, for example, on your talent, you need to think of a quite powerful solution. But another challenge there was that the ground was very uneven. It's close to the river, so the ground was slopey and rocky, so we couldn't bring a big light sources there, something bigger than 1200 watt, for example. So what we did instead, we used 2 Aperture 600X lights with spot mounts. So what these spot mounts do, they focus the light and therefore intensify it. And we needed to put 2 lights next to each other and shine it directly to the talent face. Well, it was quite far, so it wasn't that uncomfortable for her. Yet I wouldn't recommend doing it for a very long period of time, and you need to warn your talent not to look at the light directly. But it was a few shots there only, and it was quite quick, and in this case it worked well. And with the right direction, with lovely framing, we captured the stunning shots that fully utilized the location, I think. Okay, and let's dive to the last scene for today. It's the underground crosswalk. So the location here is an actual underground crosswalk, a pedestrian tunnel in Chongqing. And the goal here, again, to create this dreamlike scenario with the tunnel and the light glowing at the end of it, or maybe at the beginning. It depends on the way you look at it, probably. And let's start with this light at the end of the tunnel on the background that is glowing at the end. Here we again use aperture 600C RGB light that we set to HSI mode with a slight blue hue, because setting it to the highest color temperature possible in CCT mode wasn't blue enough. So it was still quite realistic. It was still just a regular daylight. But since we wanted to create this abstract, dreamy scenario, we needed something extra. So we went with blue hue. For the key light, for lighting up the models inside of the tunnel, we used aperture 600X with a China bowl diffusion, and we set it to the same color temperature that was the existing light in the tunnel, so it doesn't look too sourcey, right? And another fixture that we used here was non-light power tube, a great solution from non-light RGB tubes that are compact. You can hide them in the set, you can highlight specific areas of your frames. They also have batteries inside, so they're very useful. We take them probably on 70% of our shoots. And we set this one to this violet pink hue, adding this subtle spill on the walls and on the ceiling. So this tiny little detail, I think, really complemented the light at the background and made the scene feel more complete. So there you have it, guys. We broke down 3 scenes. I hope it was useful in a way, insightful, maybe inspiring even. That would be great if you got some ideas from it and go and bring it to life, because that's what it's all about, right? And again, I'm new on YouTube, so your feedback will be very useful and highly appreciated. So please let me know what you think. And that's it for today. Thank you so much, and I hope to see you soon. Peace. Alrighty. Now we have to edit it somehow.